My mechanic says I need a new
windscreen.
Hey guys, I'm Molly.
And I'm Dan, and welcome to the Mad Garage.
In this series, we're going to arm you with a bit more car knowledge.
And who knows, next time your car needs some care and attention, we could even save you some cash.
This is MADvice.
If you've ever been told you need a replacement windscreen, the bad news is it's nearly always an expensive job. And that's because it requires a lot of specialist equipment and experience, meaning you probably can't handle the job at home.
But the good news is it's not always 100% necessary. So we're going to go through a few ways you may be able to salvage your existing windscreen, or if it does need replacing, we'll go through why it's important to get the job done properly.
Ivana, the Mad sports van, has done some serious kilometres touring around Australia, and in all its kilometres doing duty for us, she has copped some battle scars, like the odd bullseye, there's a little crack down here, and some minor sandblasting all over the screen. But the good news is in many cases, damage like this can be repaired by specialist services. They'll come out, have a look at the screen, and tell you whether it is actually a repairable situation, and that can avoid replacing the screen entirely.
As a general rule, if a bullseye is larger than a 5-cent coin, it's probably not roadworthy, but that doesn't mean that it's not repairable. And the same thing goes for cracks as well. All these measurements vary from state to state, so make sure you check up what's relevant to you locally. But for example, in Victoria, cracks can be up to 150 mils, depending on the circumstance and if they haven't gone through all the levels of lamination.
Even if the damage doesn't necessarily deem it a roadworthy fail right there and then, it's still a really good idea to get something done about it, because we all know what happens. You get on the road, a crack that's small and roadworthy now isn't later on. And when it gets to that stage, that screen is definitely not repairable, and then you will have to replace the whole thing. So by doing something about it now, prevents it becoming a big problem later and saves you some cash. Unfortunately, 270,000 kilometers is way, way too much for this old girl, my lovely old BMW. If you look closely, you can see we've got the full plethora of damage. I've got a bullseye, which probably can't have anything done about through the lamination. And look at this, sandblasting and streaking from many, many years of keeping that screen clean. Unfortunately, this one has to be swapped.
Almost all new cars have cameras and other sensors concealed behind the windscreen. The Subaru Outback XT has 2 cameras you can see here behind the windscreen, and that's part of the eyesight system. If you do have to replace one of these windscreens, getting it aligned properly is critical, not only for the proper functioning of all these equipments, but also for safety. It takes some serious equipment and experience to correctly calibrate the cameras in a modern windscreen. I was lucky enough to visit Hella HQ and see the team at work. This equipment is really sensitive, so it's really important to make sure that this is done by a qualified technician. Just like a new set of brake pads with a new set of rotors, when you're replacing your windscreen, you want to make sure you put some fresh wipers on as well. There's no point putting some used wipers on a brand new windscreen. And when you get some brand new wipers on a fresh new windscreen, magic.
So Molly, after all that, do you still think you need a replacement windscreen?
Well, not for my car. The Outback's perfect. The Mad van, I think we're going to have a crack at trying to repair that. You're welcome. You're welcome. Your BMW is beyond repair. I'm sorry. You're just going to have to foot that bill.
I know, 270,000 kilometres. She's been through a lot of action, that girl.
You said it.
I'll never tell.
Not me.
Fully. If you still think your windscreen needs replacing, make sure you arm yourself with all the right information and some of the specific requirements in your state or territory. And remember that things like bullseyes, cracks and sandblasting don't always mean necessarily an automatic replacement or fail. In many cases, that damage can be repaired.
I think you just stole all my lines, but just remember, when you're replacing your windscreen, it's a lot more than just the glass. There's a lot more things that go into it.
And remember, 5 cents could save you hundreds of dollars.
You're so uncoordinated. Anyway, what's the most expensive thing that you've been told you need to repair? We want to hear about it, so let us know in the comments below, and we'll try and put together a MADvice episode about it.
Thanks for watching MADvice. What's the most expensive thing you've ever been told you need to replace in your car?
Well, I was going to say engine and basically a whole car.
That's pretty expensive. Why?
And yeah, then pretty much you could go through parts by parts.
It's because you drove it into a tree, wasn't it?
The tree jumped out.
Yeah.
It was
nothing to do about it.
It was not,
same with me.
Yeah, it just happened.
Yeah, that concrete pillar in a car park jumped straight out in front of me.
You hit a concrete pillar in a car park. Actually, I ran over a star picket the other day, so.
This is true. Oh, that reminds me, we need to do one about tyres.